And tonight's guest is David McCormick, here to help us get through Christmas with some useful advice. And Christmas is meant to be a time when family and friends come together to celebrate comfort and joy. For some, it's a very different and stressful time, marred by arguments. Hopefully, my next guest will be able to offer some helpful advice to help you get through this festive period. He is David McCormick, a personal and team development consultant who's going to tell us how to survive Christmas by understanding the needs of your personality type. David, thank you very much for coming on.
Thank you.
Understanding, well, how to avoid arguments at Christmas.
Yep.
It's almost part of the tradition, though, isn't it? And Christmas without an argument isn't really Christmas.
Absolutely, absolutely.
How do we avoid it, though? We have to understand ourselves a bit better.
Absolutely. One of the things is if we can understand that people behave in predictable ways, we can begin to modify our own behaviour and expectations so that we can manage those relationships better. But it's all the key is understanding the predictability.
So how do you do that if you have a family member, somebody who most of the rest of the year you love perfectly well because you don't have to spend all day with them probably? How do you work out what is predictable about their behaviour and how you should handle that?
Okay, well, I've worked with groups and individuals for over 20 years looking at personality profiling and how that can help us. And it's about learning the predictability about how people respond. So there are different types. There are lots of different models we can use, but one that I would recommend as a kind of seasonal starter, if you like, is what we call the DISC model. And that's simple to understand, it's simple to use, and it's based on observable differences in people's normal behaviour.
And that breaks people, well, to make massive generalisations here, of course, but there are sort of four types that are probably blended in most of us. But if you just very quickly take us through those
very quickly. There's four basic types. So what I'd say to people is think about the people you know. It's observable. Do you know anybody who's really assertive? They're to the point and want to know the bottom line in any situation. You know, just some people are much more forceful, direct, and strong-willed than others. We'd call that the D type. That's the dominance type. Again, do you know anybody who's a great communicator and really friendly to everybody that they meet? You can look around and you see that people are...
Happy to say, I know lots like that, yes.
Some people are just much more optimistic, much more inspiring, friendly and talkative. Those we call the I types. They work by influence. And then think about your family, perhaps. You know, is there anybody in your family you would say is a really good listener, someone who's a great team player? You know, we have people in life who are very supportive, very patient with others, very loyal and practical in terms of how they support other people. And then finally, you might know people who love gathering information, facts, details. You know, they're very much more precise, methodical and analytical about their approach.
I'd like to think those are the people I work with.
Really?
But,
so you may well have those. So those would be the four basic building types of DISC.
Those D types, the dominant types, they sound like an absolute bloody nightmare.
Well, I mean, they can have their moments, particularly if we're thinking about stress, but they release a huge amount of energy and a sense of determination and decisiveness in getting things done. They're the drivers of the personality types. They've got a lot of energy that they want to share and move things on, but in a stress situation, that can be a bit of a handful.
Now, the point is that we can be, by knowing this, having this insight, we can be aware of their needs and their requirements.
Yeah.
How do we make them aware of our needs and our requirements? I suppose you have to have a little bit of self-knowledge about which type you are.
Yeah, well, I think the thing is for everybody to begin with who they are themselves and being able to articulate and have some understanding of what their needs are, what they find helpful, what they find not so helpful, and having the confidence to share that. So we'd always say it starts with self-knowledge, start with changing ourselves, not trying to change others. And strangely enough, if we can do that, then actually it does have a beneficial effect in influencing others positively.
There are certain things that are utterly unovercomable about Christmas, though. There is, you know, the drunken relative who always recites every line in The Great Escape just before Richard Attenborough goes. I mean, these things are intolerable, but also what you just have to live with it.
Yep, absolutely. There are some things that we have to say, well, you know, they're going to happen, but other things we can manage, other things we can influence.
And avoid the traditional Christmas afternoon game of Trivial Pursuit.
Well, yes, you could do that, but some people will put some pressure on you to
I
do
know,
it.
that's the
It's
problem.
the thing that's fun.
It's impossible, isn't it?
So it's about understanding. And if you need a bit of space, if you're one of those people that actually wants to hunker down with a good scotch and a book, then take the time, give yourself that time off. But also remember, other people are going to want to draw you in and share some fun.
It's about imagining what everybody else is going through that day as well.
Yeah.
Happy Christmas, David. Thank you very much for coming in, and thank you for that help, which will, I hope, make my family Christmas much happier than usual.
Well, let's hope so.